October was a pretty good month for manga, and while a lot of people were still kind of reeling from the end of the first season of Demon Slayer, and a lot of us were still looking for the announcement of Part 6 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, there was also a lot of cool new releases that came out as far as manga goes. And I wanted to highlight a few of those books right now. So I have 3 books that I picked out that I wanted to talk about, a couple of first volumes, and then a hardcover kind of complete all-in-one book. So first I want to talk about the Way of the House Husband Volume 1. So it's a Viz signature book, so it's that SIG size, a little bit bigger than the standard like Shonen Jump manga volumes. Written by Kosuke Ono. The series is about a former Yakuza member who becomes a house husband. So I want to let kind of a word about my expectations of the series before I got the first volume. I saw the image and I kind of thought that basically it was going to be a dude who was a former Yakuza who's kind of like in witness protection almost, like he's trying to lay low and get away from other members and stuff, so he's pretending to be a house husband. He's kind of laying low there, and then I thought we might see some scenes where he gets caught by, someone figures it out, someone finds him, and they get into a little fight, stuff like that. I was way off base, and I'm not disappointed, I'll say that. Instead, what we get is we have a series where our main character, he's known as the Immortal Dragon, because he was a pretty high-ranking member of the Yakuza. He's genuinely trying to live this life as a house husband. He is married to a woman, and throughout the series we see that he does genuinely care for her, he genuinely loves her, and it is his intent to do all these things and to be the best husband that he can. And any of us spouses know how that is. I want to be the best husband for my wife that I can. So I try to do everything that I can for her, pick up little things, get little gifts, show that I care, clean the house, cook if I need to, stuff like that. And so that's really a lot of what this series is about. It follows him. Each chapter is it's a little bit episodic, and every chapter is him trying to do some mundane thing that you would find a house husband doing. So we do have a chapter where he's trying to clean the house, a chapter where he's cooking, a chapter where he's out shopping and stuff like that. But along the way, he keeps kind of falling back into his old Yakuza life, and it's almost like he doesn't know how to be just a normal guy. And not to mention his appearance, he's pretty intimidating. So he might go out and go shopping trying to find something simple like a DVD box set as a gift for his wife, but he comes across as very brash and possibly violent towards the people he's talking to because of the way he looks. So he does often get judged, and there is a little bit of discrimination against him because of that. But in the end, like I said, his intent is all positive, and he does just want to be the best that he can be for her. There's little hints along the way that show, you'll have another Yakuza member who recognizes him, someone who approaches him. So there's little mentions of how he was and who he was before he became the house husband. And there's also a couple of scenes where you get his wife kind of empathizing with the issue and kind of thinking about, gosh, is he really, still so out of tune, I guess, with life outside of the Yakuza. And there's a sequence where like she'll flash back and remember, he's not as bad as it was when we met. So that gives me the idea that we might see a little bit more depth on the characters as we go forward with the series. And it might still progress as something that is episodic, and every issue, every chapter is another, fish out of water type circumstance that he finds himself in. But we also might get some more depth on who these characters are and how he got to this point, and what ultimately his goals are. So I really recommend it if you're a fan of more lighthearted, kind of endearing, comedic series. If you're looking for something more serious, this isn't really what you want to grab. But if you're into, something that will make you, it's honestly, it's a feel-good comedic series. I did feel happy after reading this. I had a smile on my face the whole way through. It's a really fun read, so I do recommend this one. Next, I want to talk about Levius. Now, this is a really nice hardcover that Viz, also by Viz, I think all three of these are Viz books. Viz published. It's a 3-volume series that they put into one thick hardcover. So this thick, about 600-page hardcover collects the entire Levius series. But that series that wrapped up with 3 volumes in Japan is kind of the beginning. It's kind of the exposition for another ongoing series that we're going to see published, I think, starting next month, called Levius Est, which is the direct follow-up of this one. So Levius begins the story by introducing us to the main character, the title character, Levius, who's a young boy who lives with his uncle and his grandmother. His mother is sick. I believe his father might have passed, and they live in this alternate 20th century Europe. It's a steampunk environment where a lot of people have steam-powered limbs and stuff. So that's what he has, is a steam-powered arm. So Levius is part of the MMA, which is, in this series, means mechanical martial arts, if I'm not mistaken, where people who do have these mechanical steam-powered limbs will fight against each other. So he's part of that, and he's actually pretty highly ranked. He's there's 5 levels, and he's level 2. So he's one from level 1 being the best. So he's level 2, and he's like number 6 or 7 out of level 2. So think kind of like the class structure that you have in One Punch Man, for instance. He would be like a class A, whereas level 1 would be like class S, and he's climbed up the ranks. He's number 7. So they have to fight matches with other fighters to rank up. So the book kind of explains that and gives you the context and shows that he really wants to rank up because he believes that if he can reach level 1, of which there are 13 members of level 1, that he might be able to do something to help his mother in her condition. He also winds up going head to head with another character, his main opponent throughout this, who's a younger girl who he wants to save from kind of an evil organization that's run by this clown dude who kind of looks like Buggy the Clown from One Piece. And he wants to save her. And so there's this whole type of, he has this kind of messiah complex, it seems, that he can be the one to save everyone. The story is not the most interesting. That's really not what grabbed me on this. The concepts are cool and stuff. I am a sucker for kind of that, like, the ranking type stuff, and that it is somewhat of a sports action manga. That's also something I really enjoy. I'm low-key a huge sports manga fan, loving, stuff like Slam Dunk and Ice Shield 21, for instance. So this kind of falls into that niche, but it's very simplistic. And that's not really a problem if you kind of think about it as, okay, this is just the introduction to the greater series, the larger series, which has been ongoing already. It's got 6 volumes, I think, out right now, Levius Est, the sequel series. And so looking at it like that, this is a really great primer for that. It really introduces the world, introduces the characters, introduces his motivation and stuff like that. It introduces a primary antagonist, and then it also introduces kind of the conflict that he's going to have going forward. So the main thing, though, that really drew me in this and had me just engulfing every single page, like, is the artwork. The artwork is fantastic. Throughout the series, it has just phenomenal work, very well detailed, very nicely drawn characters. It's never hard to follow the fights, which is something that you get a lot of complaints about when it comes to some shonen titles. Like, I know My Hero Academia, especially the earlier chapters, a lot of people would complain about kind of the kinetic frenzy that it has in the way that the art looks. This is, it's very well paced, and it's never hard to really tell what's going on, which is really nice. The artist does a really cool thing where I've seen this done at least in one other series, I just can't recall off the top of my head, where they kind of change the focus. So things that you need to focus on come out as clear in the artwork, but things that are, background or foreground stuff, they'll be blurred. So it's kind of the same effect as, like, taking a portrait or a photo, just to put it into simple perspective, if you have a newer iPhone and you can change it to portrait mode, it blurs everything around the subject. It's the same kind of idea. And I've seen that before. I know it was kind of used in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. And it's a really cool little tactic. It helps to not have viewers focus so much on the outside details and focus more on what they really need to be paying attention to, which helps when you have a creator such as this one who is so detailed in their artwork. So Levius is a good read. It's a $30, $35 book, so it is a pretty decent price stamp, but it's a really nice package. It's 3 volumes worth of material in one nice hardcover. If you're a fan of stuff like that, fighting manga, if you're a fan of, I would say honestly, it's kind of like a toned down, not as expansive version of Battle Angel, especially like some of the earlier parts of Battle Angel. The environment kind of reminds me of Battle Angel, the artwork a little bit even as well. So if you're a fan of that, you might wind up wanting to pick this up. It's a real nice package. I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it a solid B. But I'm going to hold out my whole judgment of the series until the sequel starts coming out and see kind of where they go from there, because that's where we're really going to see whether this is truly worth grabbing. And my last book that I wanted to go ahead and talk about this time is Taiyo Matsumoto's Cats of the Louvre. So this is part of a series of comics that are published and distributed at the Louvre, the museum in France. Another one that I've got is the Rohan at the Louvre book starring the character from JoJo. This has been available in English for a while. You can pick it up on eBay and I think on Amazon as well. But this one by Taiyo Matsumoto, who you might recognize from series like Sunny, Ping Pong, and Tekkon Kincrete, was just published in the US this month. The series, as the title suggests, follows some cats that live in the Louvre Museum. I had no idea what to expect going into this book. I didn't know what it was about. I just knew it was Taiyo Matsumoto, and it was a nice, pretty-looking hardcover. And that's really all I needed to know. So at $29.99, discounted online, I went ahead and picked it up, and once I got into it, I really did not want to stop reading it. I pretty much read it all in one sitting. It's a really interesting story that follows not only these cats, which in the narrative, Matsumoto decides to anthropomorphize them whenever humans are not around. And it's kind of shown that that's not, they don't actually turn into humanoid cats. It's just kind of his stylistic choice. Think kind of like the weirdly grotesque CGI Cats trailer for the upcoming movie based on the play. It's kind of like that, but not as grotesque because it's a drawing and not a weird CGI thing. But it focuses on these cats that live in the Louvre, and they try to kind of escape from the humans and live their life up there in secrecy. The main one is this little white one called Snow Baby, so Snow Baby, I guess. And then there's other ones in there as well. There's like an older, kind of gruff male cat. There's a female cat that's always grooming herself. There's a, fat cat that's always bumbling around and making too much noise. There's the really, mean looking little black cat as well, who kind of antagonizes the main character. But it also focuses on the humans that are at the museum as well. The humans that work there. One of the caretakers and one of the ladies who's like a tour guide throughout the museum. And the story kind of sees the two groups, the humans and the cats, meet and interact, and it develops into more of a connected story where you're having one of the museum caretakers reveal that he's been looking for his sister who was lost in the museum years ago, and they find out that one of the cats, the main cat, might have some sort of connection with her or might know how to find her. So it moves forth into a really nice, dramatic, kind of low-key story that has a lot of really good emotional beats, both from the side of the cats and of the humans. So I really highly recommend it. I didn't really know what to expect going into this book, like I said, but I really came out enjoying it and seeing how great of a creator that Taiyo Matsumoto really is. And I'm not a cat person at all. I'm a dog person. Um, so usually I'm not too interested in stuff that I know that's really shallow to say. I'm not really focused on stuff that focuses on, or I'm not interested in stuff that focuses on cats. I'm usually like, if it's a series about dogs or that at least features dogs, like Beasts of Burden, that really draws me in. But I took a chance on this mostly because of the creator, and like I said, I was really pleased. This isn't, this is a material for me. I think that this is one of the most solid, just single volume books of manga that I have read this year. It's so well written, it just guides you right through, and it has fantastic artwork throughout, and a really great appreciation for classic art as well. There's a lot of cool material in here that kind of where the characters are talking about art restoration that I thought was really fascinating. So yeah, it's a great read. I highly recommend it if you're looking for something different. If you want something that's not your typical, shonen or even your typical seinen manga, this is a nice quiet read that you can enjoy. Sit on the couch for a couple hours, churn it out with a cup of hot cocoa. Now that it's getting cool outside, I think it's a good recommendation from me. So those are the 3 books that I kind of wanted to focus on with this review. Those were 3 books that came out in the month of October, and 3 of the highlights that I really had through the month of October, alongside all the other stuff that I read. Most of the other stuff I checked out was ongoing shonen titles that that we are all reading, like My Hero Academia and stuff like that. And some of the ongoing seinen titles like Beastars, which is really doing well right now. I really loved the 2nd volume, and it's something that I'd love to talk about in the future as well. I'm looking forward to doing more reviews like this one, so as I go forward and read some of the other new releases from October, like Drifting Classroom or the finale of I Am a Hero, and then going into November and checking out some of those books, I'm looking to probably do a few more of these reviews. So if you enjoyed what I had to offer here, please let me know. If you want to see more, let me know about some of the series. If you see anything behind me that you're wanting me to talk about, let me know. I'm happy to start doing that. And I'll see you guys next time for more reviews, more hauls, and check out the Omnibus Collectors Network, where we do videos. Gosh, we do videos 3 times a week. I'm on there 1 time a week, every other week, talking about new manga releases and stuff like that. So until next time, y'all have a great day.